Welcome to the Warehouse Diaries. In this episode, we're going to share how we scaled our business to six figures. So initially, I started the business with 500 pounds and I launched the website with only one product, which was a pack of 5 sheet masks. My original business idea was a subscription model. So on the first of every month, I would release a new pack of 5 sheet masks. From very early on, I got some really helpful feedback from our customers saying that they wanted to see a much wider range of products available. So in the first couple of months, we introduced 10 to 15 new products such as toners and moisturizers, which really helped to double our revenue. So every month I reinvested everything back into the business, into buying more stock, so that we always had new products available for our returning customers.
Also, there had to also be a balance between like new customers and returning customers. So the returning customers, you want a wide range of products, and then for new customers, you always want like the best sellers in stock.
Yeah, I think it's an obvious point that you need to have your products in stock, but honestly, at the beginning of the business, you are focusing so much of your energy into trying to get customers that you lose track of your stock. And especially once you finally have your really successful month, you realize like you need to order your products and then it could take a month, it could take longer to order your stock and have it shipped and delivered to you. That would happen to us a lot at the beginning, where we would have a successful month where we had a higher amount of orders than usual, and then we weren't able to sustain that consistent rate of growth because the next month we wouldn't have enough stock. So that caused a drop in sales. So even when we had a higher level of traffic onto our website, we just couldn't convert into a sale because obviously there's not a lot of options available. Some businesses use like a pre-order model, but personally for us, we never risked doing that just because the amount of time that it took for our products to arrive, and also you just can never guarantee a certain time frame that you are going to receive your shipments, because even though you get an estimated date of delivery, you can never guarantee that it will arrive, since your shipment could get stuck in customs. And I personally never want to promise a customer something that I can't deliver.
If you want to have consistent sales monthly, then you do need to plan your stock. If you have no stock, it is such a headache because without stock, there are no orders.
Yeah, it's so hard because at the beginning, you're trying so hard to sell the stock that you do have, and then once you can finally sell it all, then you encounter the problem of keeping it in stock or at a good stock level at all times. So a good baseline that we used at the beginning was having 3 months worth of stock available. Also, another really important factor is to not rely on one supplier. We were finally able to keep our stock levels consistent because we always had 2 to 3 shipments on its way to us. Then we could guarantee that at least one of them would arrive in time.
This one kind of links to stock because the more stock you buy, the more bigger space you need. So whether it's in-house, get a new warehouse or get a new office, or get 3PL, then it's something to consider because you need somewhere to hold all that stock. And yeah, as your business grows, you need like more packaging supplies, like just more everything. So it really does eat away the space. So definitely need to upgrade your space because it just gives you more room to grow in general.
Yeah, for us, what we reinvested our money into was number one, stock, number two, a bigger space, and the third was hiring employees. But a really important thing to remember with that is we were using 100% organic marketing, so we were spending £0 on getting our sales. This was during 2020 where TikTok was really new. I think even now you can still grow your business to six figures using only organic marketing. Obviously, if you do have the budget to spend on ads, then why not do it? But I think in order to grow a super loyal customer base, then organic marketing is the best way to go about doing that. If you don't have a budget to do paid ads, then you can really leverage social media by just posting in quantity.
Yeah, we used to post 5 times a day. I think the most important thing is you need to increase your inputs. So definitely post more. I know like it's hard to show up every day because sometimes when I don't post for 1 or 2 days, I don't want to create any more videos. But if you're in that flow of posting every day, showing up every day, it's much easier to just be in front of the camera or just posting new videos. But once you stop, it's like harder to get going again. So always post every day.
Overall, as you get more orders, you encounter barriers that prevent you from increasing the number of orders you have. So, as we mentioned earlier, our first barrier was the number of products we had available to sell. So, once we increased the number of products, we increased our number of orders. And then when we did have more products, our barrier was keeping a consistent amount of stock available, which meant that we needed space since just working out of our house was limiting the amount of space that we had. When you're learning by just doing it yourself and fixing your own mistakes, it definitely slows down your growth, having to just figure it out yourself. So in hindsight, now we look back and think that's a really obvious fix and we should have thought about that beforehand.
Yeah, but I think a lot of business owners, they always just learn by through experience. Yeah, of course we made a lot of mistakes, but I think they're important to make them because that's how you learn and grow. Also, another thing that helped us scale was implementing systems and processes into our business.
Yeah, when we first started out, we were just packing the orders ourselves. We didn't have hundreds of orders per day, so the rate of errors we were making in packing was very low. But once we hired employees and just had a wider range of products, it obviously meant that we had a higher amount of human error in packing. So finally streamlining and having a barcode system was a really big game changer. But again, it's something that I wish I had done a lot earlier because I think at that point we had a few hundred products available on our website. So just inputting all of that to the system it didn't take as long as I expected. It was just like, a few hours really, but I think I was just mentally delaying doing that because I just thought, oh, it's going to take so long. And we always had to prioritize shipping our orders. So I think once we did that, it made us feel more comfortable to go full force in our marketing because I think there is a real mental barrier when you are struggling fulfilling your orders. If you don't have enough people helping out with packing, it's like you're happy that you're getting so many orders, but then like the customers might not be happy because it is going to cause a couple of days of delay in receiving their order. So you really need to have your systems in place so that you can go full send.
Yeah, because I feel like that was what caused the burnout because we were just overdoing everything. We were packing the orders, and another video would go viral, then another batch of orders would come, and yeah, we felt so lucky. But also, behind the scenes, we were like, oh my God, how are we going to fulfill everything in time and keep our customers happy as well? But now we have proper manual systems and processes. It was so hard to hire staff as well in the beginning because we didn't have a proper manual or anything. So we would just train them. What is it? Freehand?
Just train them as we went along, which
Yeah.
I think is difficult because in business you can have one day where everything runs smoothly and then the rest of the days of that week like something goes wrong, and it is hard. I think also every time we planned if we were going to be away for the week, we would have a meltdown like 2 weeks prior, just trying to figure out like every single solution to a potential problem that could arise while we were gone, which I think can all be prevented if you, again, just have straightforward processes in place.
Yeah, because the manual would have all the potential problems and the solution to it. So much easier to onboard employees and just keep it all streamlined.
Also, as soon as we could, we signed up to have a business account with our courier service because I think you need to hit a certain amount of parcels you send out before you can sign up. But that helped out so much since at the beginning, for I think a year, we were just packing all the orders ourselves and dropping them off ourselves, which meant it would be like 1 or 2 a.m. and we would have to go out to like the postal lockers at our local Morrison's, and that was always very dodgy. And sometimes there wouldn't be enough spaces left available at the lockers, so then that just delayed the shipping again.
Yeah, or sometimes the lockers would not work. They just would not open. So I would be on the phone to them and they would be like, yeah, we'll fix in a couple of days. But obviously that was not good enough for us. So then we'll have to drive around, find another set of lockers to go to. So it was just really a pain in the backside. So once we got our courier service set up, it was so much easier. It was just one less headache to think about.
So just to break it down to basics, obviously six figures baseline is £100,000. I think it is important to set goals. Every single month we write down our goal revenue and try to hit it. And I think that can be a really great motivation. Personally, my goal was actually £12,000 per year. So that would be £1,000 per month. So I think when you set your revenue goal, you need to reverse engineer and just break it down to manageable amounts so that you can have a clear goal on a month to month basis. When you think about £100,000 when you are starting off at zero, it can be a bit difficult to visualize yourself getting that amount. But if you divide it per month, I think if you round it up, it'll be £10,000. So £10,000 per month is reasonable and achievable to strive for.
Yeah, you just have to reverse engineer it. Whatever the umbrella goal is, just break it into monthly and then like daily. So if you want to hit like £10,000 per month, then just divide that per day and then see how much revenue you need to make daily. It just gives you more of achievable goal in target to have in mind rather than six figures. Then you get a bit more frantic. Oh my God, how am I going to achieve that? You start going a little bit astray from your goals. So yeah, I think that is a great tip.
So I want to share our first 3 months of our business because I think that gives a more realistic insight. I started the business at the end of November 2019, and then our first full month, December 2019, we got, wait, you can guess how much did we get?
In what month, sorry?
December 2019.
December 2019. So that was like our first proper month of business. I would say, oh my gosh, I would say 500 pound.
No, it was £22,
Oh my
98 pence.
God. Yeah, I don't even know.
We got 3 orders, and then in January 2020, we got 4 orders,
So 100 pounds.
£64.
Almost close to 100.
And then February, the month we made it, we got 76 orders, which was £1,231. I think for a few months after that, we were getting consistent £1,000 every month. Then I think it was June or July of that year, we got like £4,000, and then we just kept growing and growing after that. So I think if I had started out at the beginning thinking I need to make 10K every single month, I would have felt really defeated. And it's different for every single person. Maybe it would drive you even more if your goal was 10K and you're only making 1K. But you just have to know yourself. And I think once I made 1K in February, that meant I had already achieved my goal, since my goal was only 12K per year in revenue. So I think having goals that you can manage is really important. And then, of course, you can always move that goalpost.
Obviously, there's greatness in growth, but I think the most important thing would be to grow sustainably so you can catch up and reflect what went well, what went bad in the previous month, and then improve it. And then that way you would grow like in a nice upward trajectory.
Revenue is vanity, and
Profit is sanity.
yeah, and I think I truly never thought about profit in like the first few years of the business. At the end of every year, it would be perfectly fine, but I think I would always think of revenue.
Yeah, always I would think of revenue as well. Because I always think if your revenue is high, your profit is going to be high. But in a lot of ways, that is not always the case. So it is important to keep both of them in check. But also, I got really good advice from somewhere where, in order to grow their business, they actually don't focus on the outputs, they actually focus on the inputs. So if you want 100K a month, then instead of just focusing on that, you think of how can I achieve that. So if that is like hiring more people, you will be like, oh, I want to hire one more person. Or if you want to post more videos, then you can post like triple the videos. Or if you just need to spend more time allocated to some task, then you would spend double the hours or wake up earlier. So that is quite helpful, because a lot of times we just think, oh yeah, I want to get this and I want to get that. But you got to think, how are you actually going to get those results? You want to focus more on the inputs, and the inputs are what causes those results.
So to end off this episode, we'll share our obsessions of this week. So I've been making matcha every single day, and I don't even drink it really. I just give it to Rosie. But honestly, I'm just addicted to the process of making matcha and getting that perfect velvety matcha foam. So that's what I've been spending my time doing this week.
Yeah, and I've been obsessed with drinking matcha. We've also been obsessed with Blackpink because we went to see them. And the whole concert experience, what would you rate it?
Out of 10?
Yeah.
Out of 10, I would rate it like a 6.8, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to give it like a 7 out of 10. Just because the vibes were really off in the beginning. First of all, we never attend concerts on time. So we're always rushing. So we're rushing over to Wembley Stadium because we were late. We arrived at Wembley on time, but to get to the actual stadium, we arrived late. So we missed like the first 2 songs or whatever. We got to our seats, and then we looked around and everybody was still sat. And yeah, like we said, they were already like on their 3rd song. So we're like, okay, like when do we get up? We're waiting for people to get up, but nobody got up. I kept telling you, look around and look behind us. Is anyone else standing up? And you're like, no one's standing up. And oh my God, so the whole like half of the show, we're like sat down. And even though we want to stand up, but we were so scared that like people are gonna tell us off to sit down.
Because the security would watch you like a hawk. We were sat at like the 500 section, which I think is like almost like pretty much the highest
Yeah.
seats, and we've never sat at that section before, so we thought maybe that's an actual rule where you're not allowed to stand up, because there was like a sign saying remain seated, but I don't know, it was just so confusing.
Yeah, so then only halfway through the show, we saw the girls in front of us stand up. So we're like, okay, that's our cue to stand up. So then we got up and then a few more other people started getting up. But yeah, it was so weird. The vibes were so weird.
But the whole time, immediately, like when the two girls in front of us stood up and then we stood up, and then the security came and just stood in front of us and watched us the whole time.
Yeah,
And
we did not
weren't-
like that.
We weren't even close to, we were like row 7 or 9.
Yeah.
So we weren't even like at the,
Edge.
yeah. So I'm just so confused. But yeah, every time the people like in row 1 would jump a bit too much, like they would get told off. So it was just an uncomfortable experience. But I think they were just being extra cautious because I think there was like an incident at another concert the week prior where someone fell off. I don't know what happened, but yeah, it was just an interesting experience. And I literally had to Google while we were at the concert, are you allowed to stand up at Wembley?
Yeah, even though we're like certain we can stand up, just the fact that no one was standing up got.
If everyone sat behind you is sat down, then you don't want to be the annoying one stood up, because then that could block their view. But then it's a concert, so surely you should be allowed to stand up.
I wish I just stood up like from the beginning, but that would probably be more awkward.
It was so strange because at the beginning, like we didn't know how late we were. So we just tried to find our seat straight away, and then everyone sat down, so we just immediately sit down, and then we look up on the stage and like Blackpink are on the stage performing, and then we're like, wait, we're actually all just sat down right now. It's just, I don't know. Honestly, you would think we would feel less tired after that concert since we were sat down for 50% of the time, but it just makes you feel like sleepy, like you're at the cinema when you're sat down at a concert. It was just a bizarre experience, but anyway, it was still good.
It was still fun, but definitely a different experience than we thought it would be. I was just waiting like for Jenny to shout at us and be like, everyone get on your feet, but that never happened. So I was just like, okay.
Yeah, it was just very like low energy all around, I think. Hopefully if Blackpink, if they ever do another world tour, then they will perform in the O2 in London.
No, the
The
O2
O2.
was dead as well. Everyone was sat down.
I don't know, I don't care. I just love the O2 venue.
So yeah, that's the end of our episode. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube and also leave us a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple.
See you in our next episode. Bye.